That. Oh yeah, we just hit it. We just hit it. Now, folks, bear with us here. This is extraordinary because Phoenix Ray and I have always talked about how fun the pre-show is before we hit record. It's our weekly thing where we get to catch up, talk about family and relationships and just really personal stuff, and then we go, all right, we got to do a show here, and it's like, damn, that was kind of a show, right, Ray?
Yeah, yeah, all the time. We think that the pre-show is probably better than when we hit record. And it made me start thinking too, is changing things up. And I started thinking like, well, I was thinking too, like, like you on YouTube and stuff, and a lot of spirituality is geared more towards women. I don't know. It just seems like that there's not really much stuff out for guys, consciously awakened guys.
Hmm.
And we're both consciously awakened guys, and navigating, through this world, and we go through the same things, and dating and relationships and just guy stuff, but coming through two guys who are, very spiritual, very heart driven.
Right.
And why don't we just talk about our path, what we go through.
Right. And just as a disclaimer here, that doesn't mean this is a shift to just an all bro audience. That no, why? Like this is still for everyone, like to understand each other more and like get that perspective and maybe should we be worthy at some point, like maybe a guidance to another, for like, hey, have you ever seen those crazy old Bodhi bros and what they do? Check them out. I don't know. Should you feel called to do so? But Ray and I were talking pre-show, which this time was only like, I don't know, 30 seconds, because I'm like, you know what? We shouldn't talk about it. We should just stumble through this. So
Right.
I only say that because I had just not concerns, but yeah, no, concerns. Like, because we talk about really personal stuff, so we can't, like, obviously we wouldn't use names,
Right.
right? But what are some of the, I know you've probably thought about this a little bit. What's come up for you?
Well, I think we just talk about our lives like we would catch up like we normally do. Maybe we use some discretion in the names, of course, but we could still share what's going on in our lives and be
General.
Authentic and be transparent.
Yeah.
But the same way, take consideration of the people that we're talking about. Yeah, and I thought maybe we would have maybe during the week like stuff we go through, different experiences. 'Cause a lot of times when we talk, we've had a lot of same shared experiences through the week without us even knowing that we had these same things. And
Right, because we don't talk during the week. Like sometimes we'll message each other funny shit, but like it's not like we don't do the serious talk until like the pre-show, right?
right.
So
So
go ahead.
yeah, so I figured you do that, and then we talk about it, and maybe just and maybe during the week we would maybe think of something like a topic in case we need to like kind of go into something, or a question to ask. Like I started thinking today, I had a question to ask you, like for this, but
Like
something
really?
about what I've experienced this week.
Like you actually you're saying that happened for you.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
Well,
Can you ask it? Is it okay to ask it here?
yeah, I was just gonna ask you, since you've gone through a breakup now and you're on a new beginning, a new path.
We're making this real, folks. Here we go. All right, go ahead.
Would you ever consider getting back with an ex?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
yeah,
would?
because I've loved all of the people I've ever had the fortunate experience to be with, the blessing, fill in the blank, whatever beautiful word you want to put there, honor, privilege. So, is it possible to relight that flame again? I think so, especially if two people do a bunch of work and stuff and find new paths and new understandings. Yeah, I think I'm very open to that. How about you?
I don't think so. I don't think I am.
Wow. Okay.
I think exes are exes for a reason. And I think that there's so many people out there that like, why would I go back to somebody like, I mean, where if it didn't work out,
Sure.
I mean, I think there'd be some time, I mean, I think there could be some, I mean, definitely take into consideration of like how the relationship ended and like what caused it to split.
Okay.
But I would say majority, I would almost say almost for certain that I would never go back to an ex. It's just because I think that like there's so many other people out there
Yeah.
that why would I go back to something that already like gave me a problem when I could meet someone new and be fresh in somebody else's that too. Plus, I would also imagine that I'm a different person at this point than I would be when I was in that relationship. So I
Right.
probably would have learned whatever I need to learn from that relationship, and it would have served that purpose. And I don't
Right.
know, I'm an evolutionary point that I need to meet someone that I'm on a different level than I would be back then.
Well, isn't it possible that when you guys went your separate ways, that the courses that be and the waves and flows that there are is that person ends up getting on the same wavelength as you again, and
Maybe.
I mean, I
Well,
don't.
I'll tell you something that happened this a few days ago.
Okay,
Is,
this is fresh, folks.
till a couple days ago was as most of you don't know, I work with an ex, and and this is a couple years ago, and and I'm in a relationship now. I'm very happy, like but and I was like talking to her, whatever. Like I noticed, like sometimes like I pass by, I'm very cordial. I'm always a nice person. Hi, if it was up to me, I would never see this person ever again.
You're a nice
But
person when you're high. Is that what you said?
no, I said if it was up to me, I would never see this person again. But because I work with this person, I'm nice and I say hi and stuff and whatever. I'm a
Say
very
hi.
pleasant person. And and I talked to the person, and I looked and I gave a hey, how's it going? And I got that look, that like that look was held a little like long,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was like, oh, this is kind of, almost like. And then I looked again and I caught her checking me out, and then and I whatever, I was walking by and I was like, hey, and we had an incident that happened at work the other day, and I had some pictures of the incident to share on my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, this happened the other day, and I'm like, you want to see? And she goes like, basically, her head's like on my chest, and she's like all up on me like this, and I'm thinking like, what are you doing? Like, what I mean? Like, I have no interest at all. But she was definitely putting it out there, and it was just kind of like, and she's in the same relationship as she was with right after me, actually during, that she everything went down. But it was just kind of like weird that like I don't know. It's like basically she's like putting it out there. Not that I would ever do that. Even if I was single, I wouldn't, just because it's just not. I don't see her the same way as I did when I was with her in a relationship, anyways. And plus it's like she's in a relationship. Is she gonna cheat on that guy with me? And it's like, I would never get into that. And then it's just like, no, like I don't know. And I mean, my mind plays like, would I, scenario type, like if I was single, would I go for it? Would I do this? I don't think I could. I don't think I would. It would be tempting if I was single just to like maybe hit it.
Right.
But it's just like, yeah, but where's that gonna go? That's just gonna lead to, what I mean, I don't think I could, just because I don't know. I don't see her that same way. And
Right.
it kind of,
But, I mean, that's one particular relationship. It's not to
yeah.
say
But I
that
mean,
this is.
guys do that all the time though. I mean, people do that all the time, hook up with exes and stuff like that. But it's just
Yeah.
like, because it's easy, it's convenient, and you kind of had the history there. But it's just like me, I'm like, nah, man, I just don't. When it's done, it's done.
Yeah, and I never say never. So that's where we have a little different flow, and that's cool. And what makes the show and the friendship. And I don't know. I keep saying yes because say you really are aware of why your last few relationships have ended. You know, not a lot of times people don't know. There's things that are clouded. There's suspicions, and there's all the truths aren't out on the table per se. Well, in my last few relationships, it's been pretty crystal clear. And so if you know, we parted lovingly. Like I'm trying not to call previous partnerships exes. I actually like try to use a different language now to soften it up, not to take away from anything that it was or is, but just to say like this was a, you know, like X kind of means like I feel like it's an X, so it's over, it's done. But I don't know. I think I've liked to try and maintain some type of contact or some type of mutual respect or connection or something with most all of my relationships. And so I don't know if I got to a point in my life. We're saying like 10 years now, right? Like let's throw that one out. 10 years from now. You wanted different things. You were hitting a ceiling of expansion, and like, give me one more reason. Finances were just really, you saw that on different levels, right? 10 years later, man, how many retreats have I been to, books I've read, cards I've pulled, cliffs I've dove off of, whatever, right? Like 10 years, like I don't want the same thing that 10 years ago John wanted. I'm rich, bitch. Whatever. Like, let's just see, 10 years, man, right? I mean, I'm not joking. Let's make it 5 actually on that scene. And then what's the other thing? I want something different. Finances and what? Oh, we're not.
Expansion.
Oh, expansion. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you don't want to do the same things like travel or like read or listen to music or whatever. So it's like you run out of things to share, and it's like you're hitting your head on this ceiling. You still love this person, but you're like, oh. So then this person goes on their 10-year tour of the world or whatever, discovers, I don't know, plant medicine. And you never thought that they would do that. And they start loving music in a way they've never loved it before. And you're like, oh, okay, you want to go to a live music show together or something? Oh, I love live music now. Oh, that's a different person. Not a different person, it's just 10 years, right? So I guess what I'm saying is I'm listening. It's not a solid no from John with a J. That's it. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, because that other person could, while you evolve, the other person could evolve, and then maybe, because I mean, I guess there was compatibility at one point,
right.
and then maybe those points that they were incompatible with now have evolved or changed. But then it's like, I don't know. I mean, is that even the same person?
That's a really good point.
Now it becomes the whole point is, what is the self?
Right. Because in that 10 years, she changed her name to Moonflower Fairy Princess Warrior. Flower again. Dusko double flower on it. I had something stuck in my tooth. Sorry. For those of you watching, like, what is happening? Is he okay?
Some kind of a dramatic pause there.
No, it was something really pestering, lingering in the tooth vicinity.
Yeah. So tell me more about now this, how does it feel to be free now, living in a new area, and are you now how is this now? This is like your expansion now. This I mean, I remember like getting out of being free and moving and being on my own, and that new energy is just, it's kind of scary, but it's exciting.
It's really exciting. I got the total FOMO going on. Like I wake up at like 7 o'clock every morning because I'm like, I'm gonna miss something. Like I gotta get out there. There's things happening. There's people wanting to connect and open for business. And it's like, I need to go out there and like, for me, it was connect with the community. Like that was the thing that made sense for me. Like just go there and connect, meet the people, go to the farmers markets, see if there's any open mics, go support live music, just plug into all the scenes and meet all the really freaking cool people of these cities. And it's happening really quickly. And I thought I would instantly miss Orlando as soon as I moved. And I love Orlando. I'll forever love Orlando. and I will probably return one day. But this, I mean, I've been pleasantly surprised. There's some really cool spots, beautiful on the water locations, and certain level of consciousness that was refreshing too, and inspiring, and a lot of great parks and projects, and people starting businesses and long-term businesses. Like in Orlando, you see like a lot of turnover, just a lot of transition. And to come to a place where like, wow, like
Now,
the
I'm sure
restaurant that I worked at as a kid is still here.
I'm
And
sure this isn't your first new beginning, when you're
no,
doing it like this. But how would you say this beginning is different than, let's say, a previous other like beginning? Like, are you approaching this differently than you think the John of like 5 years ago would have?
yeah, I mean, it's just I'm trying to meet everything with a lot less resistance, and not just saying those words, but finally understanding, at least to another level now, what that means for me and how to do that physically and emotionally, and connect all the dots. Um, and I think for me, therein lied the key was to feel deeper, feel more, allow myself to feel, um, and slow down a little bit. Not try to rush everything. And yes, the life is blowing up, and new job, new going back to the place that was terrorized as a child. Have to face so many Darth Vader meets Luke Skywalker in the cave moments, and your weapons, you will not need them. Take only what you need, or wait, something. Yoda said some wise shit in that moment. Your weapons, you will not need them. Only what you bring with you, or something like that, is what you take in. And Luke brought his like, yeah, fuck that, I'm bringing the axe, the lightsaber, the blaster. I don't even whatever. So, yeah, but just remembering that teaching, and like not coming here with my fists up, but coming here with my arms wide open, and like, hey,
More accepting.
yeah. Like I haven't been here for 30 years, and like you said, it's not the same person that walked these streets 30 years ago, and I have to understand that that's very much the probability in most everyone that walks by me that has been there that long, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I remember when my marriage ended, and it was weird, like when I was, first became single after that, and I remember going to retreats. Like I think I told you, like I went to that retreat in Maui, the Ramdas retreat, and I get there and I landed, and not granted they did give you an itinerary of like the speakers, but I mean it's up to you what you want to see, because there was like 3 or 4 different speakers, and there was different time slots and everything, and but I mean no one's forcing you to go. You're on a resort. And I remember getting off there, and I'm just like, I felt so weird to be by myself. Like I felt so alone, because I'm so used to like deferring, like, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the pool, or do you want to go to the beach?
right.
And I'm like kind of person, like I don't really like, and it's like I had no one I don't know, maybe this was like I'm guessing this was some kind of codependence that I had, that I would always just, hey, what do you want to do? And I was by myself. I could do whatever I wanted to do. If I didn't want to go to anything, I didn't have to go to anything.
Yeah.
If I wanted to drink, you know,
Yeah.
pina coladas at the pool all day, I could
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
go there and meditate, and then in the end of the can, like
And
I would never. It was such a freedom that I never really experienced.
yeah, and like you don't even want to do most of those things, but it's the feeling of I can if I want to, or get an invitation to do so right now. Like, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the power of it. It's like,
It was weird though. It was almost like I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, because I'm so used to like going somewhere with somebody else. Hey, what do you want to do?
yeah,
And always being kind of like, yeah, because I'm a very easygoing person. I'm not the kind of person like, no, we gotta, very rarely am I that kind of like
right,
forceful. Like, someone's like, no, let's go out to eat now and let's get that. I'd be like, okay, like, kind of more of a go with the flow. But now it's like I am directing the flow.
yeah,
And it was like all me. It was like, wow, it was such a weird feeling, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, man. I've been driving around this town alone. I mean, I do go some places with my brother sometimes and stuff, and that's been nice. But yeah, mostly like alone, and it's like you're like dating yourself, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, that looks like a refreshing beverage right there. Like, let me go get a coconut water. That sounds perfect right now. Like
And even like even I remember like living by myself. Not that I had like rules or I would get yelled at or anything like that, but like if I came home, or let's say if in the morning before work, if I got dressed and just threw my clothes in the middle of the floor and made a mess, it's my mess.
yeah,
No one's I'm not gonna hear about anyone else. I could do, what I mean? It's that freedom of, okay, yeah, you know what? You know, I can get up and have a beer if I want to and for breakfast. No one's gonna say shit. No one's gonna do anything. I just could do what you know what I mean? It was just that.
I know what you mean, man.
I mean, I guess the only time I really felt that way would have been college when I first moved out, and I remember that feeling was like, wow, like that rush and being in the dorm, like, wow, I could, it's just that, and I'm that feeling, that freedom feeling. It feels so good when you.
It does. And say you'd like to do something like wake and bake. My God, that's a whole culture, man. It's it's a thing, it's a feeling, it's a vibe. And let me just say that thank you for whoever came up with the cute little rhyme, because if I'd like to do that, and I'm not saying I have, folks, but if I'd like to, I can. And I mean, it would probably feel delicious.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I'm watering the plants like I'm an interpretive dancer out there, right? I got the earbuds in, I'm just flowing, making rainbows with the water, and just like dance to the drum beat with the hose. And I can only imagine, my neighbors are like, what the hell is he doing? What am I doing? I'm kicking these plants' ass as they're kicking my ass in what I like to call a samba. We're dancing. That's what we're doing out here. And like it's just, I don't know, it's fun. It's for some reason I didn't allow myself to do that in my last, relationship.
Hmm.
And then as I'm doing this outside this morning, having the time of my life, I said to
Yeah.
myself, I'm like, why couldn't you just do this while you were where you were? Like, why didn't you just, and I think because what ends up happening, at least to me, and I'm sure others have had similar experience, is you get wrapped up in the being the everything, and focusing the everything, and just committing everything to that one person's life and their support and all that stuff. And that's beautiful. That's loving. So it's giving all you can, but
Yeah.
not doing the same for yourself simultaneously.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like you pour that energy into that relationship with the other person, and you start neglecting yourself, I think.
Yeah.
It's very easy sometimes to get like lost in a relationship, and I think sometimes in a little bit there's a little bit of a fear, almost a fear of being maybe completely yourself in a relationship,
Yeah.
because you're always a little bit like, you always have that little bit of a wall, like you don't want to always like, maybe there's a, I think a lot of times if you don't want to expose too much or something, or you're afraid like
Sure.
not gonna get like that approval or that acceptance too, maybe like if you
And
just let everything be.
yeah, and to be clear too, it's not even a one of those things that I could say is on the side of my partner, like it's her fault, like that
No, no,
I
it's not.
not even remotely, because she would often say to me like, why don't you just water the, like, well, let's use this as a specific example, but it was never the plants. And she's like, if you want to do that, why don't you just water the plants? We're like, I don't understand why you can't do that. Like, very supportive. And like inside I'm thinking like, it just doesn't feel right, or I can't do it for blah blah blah, whatever reason. But it's like you said, it's just getting caught up in that cycle of
Mhm.
neglecting yourself, taking care of someone else, and oh hey man. And the retrospect, it's just so like, wow, and it's not like with regret, it's just with a certain breath because when you're in it, sometimes you can't breathe and you're just like, it's just so
Yeah,
overwhelming.
and I think you don't even notice it. It's almost like you're carrying like a heavy backpack, and you're carrying it for so long, you kind of forget it's there, and it's like you don't notice until you take it off, and you take it off, you're like, oh my God, I'm so much lighter, and you don't
Yeah,
even know you didn't even notice you were carrying something because you
right.
didn't add into it.
That's a
Now it's
really, yes, that's, oh, that, okay, you get the golf claps and poetry snaps for that one, bro, because that's it. That's it.
yeah,
That's totally that is totally the feeling.
yeah, it's just that light feeling of being free and just being, it's gone.
But you know what else happens too? The weight, the physical weight thing starts happening because at least for me, like I start to not with much effort, not strenuous exercise or hitting the gym or radical diets. No, but just like I feel like because I start showing up for myself in a way that's more loving and more um, just healthy and nurturing because I'm focused on taking care of this. Now this is primary, right? So
Mhm.
wow, it's all this attention. Your body's like, okay, I don't end up emotionally eating because I'm filling myself with other good stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even leave room for the bad stuff or the too much of something. Because I've never ate really bad in the last few years. It was just more of like amount and maybe heavy on the, my comfort is the
I
carbs.
totally notice what you're saying. I totally get it because it feels like I look back at times where I was like depressed in my body, just even though like I was working out, like I'd be working out 5 days a week, eating, like not great, but like
Yeah.
not compared to like even when I was thinking I was depressed, like I remember back in college and stuff like that, and I was, sometimes like depressed and stuff, and I was like really heavy. And I remember my roommates looking like, dude, I moved in with them. They thought like I probably ate like a ton of food, and they're like, "Dude, you don't eat shit," and they couldn't understand why I was fat. And I'm like, I don't know, because I back then I just really I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
That's why I was fat. I didn't love myself,
And
and I
it was
noticed
protection
my
too. It was protection.
times of my life when I really put that focus on loving myself. It's the same like you were saying. It seems like your body physically starts changing, and it's like that. And I remember even like 4 or 5 years ago when I was like, before I started really getting into the shadow work, I was heavy and I was working out and I was getting strong. I was big, but I was like, just chubby and just kind of like I just did not look good. And I tell people this is what I work out, that I'm working out, this is what I eat, and they're like, I'm thinking like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like I'm eating under 2,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And I'm working out, and it's like and I'm not getting. And then as soon as I start really focusing on that and loving myself, and it seemed like it's like that energy just kind of, because what's fat? Fat is what stored energy, right?
Yeah. It's
It just comes out.
this is the next level stuff, folks. This is the when you start allowing this conversation to just permeate a little deeper, man, those dots become bolder and that marker becomes thicker, man. And it's easy to go, shit, man. It's not, I mean, yes, it's what you eat, it's all those things, but if you're listening and you're really loving yourself, man, it just melts because the
Yeah,
body's so smart. The body's like, oh, he's in this flow. If that doesn't match up with this paradigm. So we need to shift him over here, like shoom. And then you're like, I'm not doing it. People are like, are you okay? Are you eating? Yeah, when I'm hungry and when my body's like, hey, food, which is neat too. Not to be like, I have to eat breakfast, I have to eat lunch, or oh, it's dinner time. No, dude, I go. And when I'm like, wow, you know what, a meal would be good, or if someone's like, hey, you want to get something to eat? I'm like, that is a good idea.
yeah, yeah. It just, what it is. I think maybe fat is the resistance we hold within ourselves.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what really fat is. Fat is just resistance. Because then as soon as you start because a lot of things like emotional eating, most of the time you're eating because you're in resistance to the present moment. That's resistance, right? Because you're bored. What is boredom? Is resistance. Because you're like, I'm not satisfied. I'm not being stimulated right now, or some things you're not enjoying the moment. You're not in the moment, so you're using that food as a way to like, oh, accept, I don't know, something that makes you pleasure. I could accept this meal. I could accept this, this pasta. I could accept this taco. I can't accept this other, work and whatever else is
Right,
stressing you
right, right.
out. So yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's the whole key to weight loss is work on your resistance.
Our first book, the Bodhi Bros, the food. What would we call the book? I thought I'd have an instant title, but then I got caught up. I'm like, no, you can't say that, or you don't want to say that, or um, we'll think about the book title, folks. But co-authored by Phoenix Wright and John with a J. That'd be a nice project. A little back and forth, different perspectives.
Yeah.
The first Bodhi Bros book. Like just quick questions and like you answer and then I answer. Sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we'll disagree.
That'd be a
Sometimes,
good idea. Yeah.
right? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It'd be kind of cool too if we did something like if we had questions. Like I know we could always pull questions off of some other like forum or something like that, but I mean, we had like questions that we could just answer, like, hey, what do you think about this? And we each kind of give our own like.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, I like that idea. For sure.
Yeah. So hey, anyone listening, give us a question.
Yeah. Come
Ask us
on. Let's how long
Come
we've been
on.
doing this, man? Over a year,
Going
right?
on 2 years now.
Oh,
2 years in May.
it's question time, folks. Some of you
Yeah.
are definitely watching, and you've let us know with very, very beautiful sentiments how you appreciate what we do, and um, everyone that has expressed that, thank you. For those that haven't, that's okay too. Thank you for just watching. Thank you for
Yeah.
pouring some type of energy or connection into what Ray and I and our entire audience is co-creating together. So thank yous, thank you. Sure. You know what? I thought about this today, Ray, and I was like, I was gonna buy another deck, and I'm like, dude, you bought this beautiful deck from a local, awesome metaphysical shop. And they actually have a few around here. It's like the first metaphysical shop that I've experienced that actually has multiple locations. It's usually that one store, that one name, but this one has a few, and they're really nice. So I'm just gonna pull. Well, we talked about this. This may be happening, right?
Okay.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
Ooh,
Whoa.
what does it say? Turn over a new page. Let love lead the way for change. Dude, that's like pretty much what we're talking about.
I'm not even looking at the book, right? I'm not even like I just felt called to pull a beautiful card. It was very pretty, turquoise, and it looks very New Mexico-y, like very. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of. I like that. That's kind of nice.
It's pretty.
Turn over a new page. What does it say? Let love lead the way for change. Yeah, I mean, lead with the hearts. Lead with the heart. I mean, go heart forward. Bring that loving awareness. Be open.
Yeah, dude, I have met some amazing people around this city, and I was, I don't say worried about that, but I was just traumatized as a kid. So it was that whole, okay, Yoda saying that your weapons, you will not need them. Like don't bring them to the streets. Like bring your open heart. And so like a lot of times when I walk through the farmer's market or wherever I go, the library or grocery store, I put my hands behind my back, like I'm almost surrendering, right? Like I'm like, here, I'm here. And I'm gonna lead. It's almost like an awkward position because you're like pushing yourself forward.
So you're actually doing it physically as well as
Right.
spiritually.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because that's like, you do it physically. They say that, like they would say, if you want confidence, walk taller first,
Yeah.
Your posture, and then maybe your mood or whatever will follow that pose. So
It's felt really nice, man, because I've been met with such kindness and like people have been giving me things for it's funny because now I have a job again and I have money to be able to provide for myself, which hasn't been the case in the not too far past. But now I have that vibration going, and now I can buy these things at the farmer's market and stuff. But these gentle souls have been like, here, man, you take, and I'm like, what? Like, you have a business here. Like, how are you making money if you're just giving me this? This has happened more than once. But I think what's happening is like, we're making some very genuine heart connections. And I've had my money out to like pay like a $20 bill. And I've been told, no, it's okay. Like, welcome to the market. Because I guess maybe I share with them my story. I just moved here and like, oh, this market is so awesome. And I'm just beaming from the heart.
Yeah.
And like I'm trying to be that person in the community, like giving my money from the work that I've done. And like I want to support your business. And then you go support the other person's business and let's do that thing. And it's been kind of bittersweet. They're like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Just you being here is enough. And I'm like, wow. Okay.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So it's yeah, folks, lead with your heart. They put your hands
Yeah,
behind
'cause
your
that's
back.
be tough because I think a lot of people, since you've been doing this work, I think probably if you haven't been doing this work, you probably would have been leading with your trauma, leading with that filter of like, very like fight, flight, stand your ground. Oh my God, is this person a threat or not?
Right.
Going into that, and you know, going into what it says, like starting a new chapter, turning a new page. A lot of time that's what we do because of that trauma. Is we meet those experiences. We think we got to be tough, we got to protect ourselves, and we got to like, they say put like a strong forward.
Or
you know,
this like
yeah, like
use
this.
use your personality to bounce people off that shit too.
Yeah, or whatever it is, and put up, or yeah, or spiritual people put like, energetic shields, and I'm gonna put a thing of white light, and
Yeah,
I'm
man.
gonna throw energy hexagons out,
Pew, pew.
bombuses and stuff and shoot at you,
Oh my
and
God.
mirrors, energy mirrors, and I'm gonna reflect their dark energy back to them and
Oh
stuff.
my
But it's like,
God.
it's like, at a certain point, you just gotta just drop that shit and just kind of be.
Yeah. And it's weird that it took for me like an uncoupling, if you will. And that's what we called it.
Of what?
Loving a conscious uncoupling.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. One of the most difficult things I've had to do. And because it was so supportive and just so intense, and it was such a roller coaster of, you know, I I can't stand you, get out of my sight, to please don't ever leave, like a really, but allowing each other to be real. And that's the hardest thing because that starts to hurt. You start to like go, you start to get very defensive. It's just a natural, yeah, it's what we've been taught as children. It's the old program that it's not safe to allow someone to be angry, to allow them to tell you how they really feel. You have to like shut it down. You're like, hey, don't say that, or relax, or like, whoa, take a breath. But for the first time in my life, I think I just was able to like, albeit as difficult as it was sometimes, just like hear the tough stuff and go, okay, all right, or witness something really intense happening in someone and going, don't try to change it. Let her feel through this and validate everything. Like just do, even not lying about it, but like even if it feels difficult to validate something, do it, because in the moment you might not understand it, or you might be triggered, but always in retrospect you're like, that's what she was feeling.
Yeah.
And like she just needed me to say, I understand, or that's cool, or that's interesting, or whoa, that
I think
must be
that's really,
intense.
I think that's almost really with a good relationship. That's almost the hallmark of a good relationship, is allowing each other to be vulnerable, a safe space to be vulnerable. and that, you know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, a lot of times we get in these relationships, or we meet somebody, we're always afraid to be, well, they would say you're always afraid to be yourself, be yourself. And really, I think really what they're saying is be yourself is the vulnerable self, you know, because we have that side of us that's always, all of us have that side that's vulnerable, whether, you know, it's, some people just mask it and cover it up and armor it more, you know, and you love that somebody, you know, you know, it's like, it's scary because, you know, you're always afraid you're going to get rejected or whatever, or the other person's afraid you're going to reject them if they, you know, if they really say what they want or what they, how they're really feeling. And to be able to provide that safe space for the other person to be vulnerable or display their emotions like that. And, you know, I think that's really what makes a good, successful relationship.
Yeah,
And not just relationship man and woman. I'm talking about friendships and families and everything else too.
I'm glad you said that because that's the kind of the path that I was thinking about taking a saunter down for a moment. But it can be difficult, right? You know, it can be heartbreaking sometimes when you live like that because um, you're really leading with your truth,
Mm-hmm.
and so someone can instantly make a decision based on that truth. And you know, whereas maybe you went months and then you're like, oh no, this is really my complete story, and they're like, oh, that doesn't fit into my life. Then it's not really fair because
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, if you allow it to come out in the beginning, then you're
Yeah.
really like have the courage to, as wild as it may sound, or as you know, whatever judgmental word you want to put on something that's genuinely important for you or whatever, if you don't feel safe to be able to express that in the beginning, kind of have to ask yourself, like, is this the right person that I want to do something very serious with? You know,
Yeah.
if I don't feel like I could tell them anything, and then to be met with the same just I don't know, compassion and gentleness and just understanding and allowance. That's a wonderful gift to give someone too. And it doesn't have to be a romantic interest. It could be a new friend or something like
Yeah.
that. And just
What about yourself? A lot of times we don't want to admit to ourselves how we really feel about a situation or how we're really feeling. And you know, maybe we don't like something, or maybe we feel something is wrong, but we, you know, we bulldoze those feelings, and we don't provide a safe space for ourselves. You know, we keep resisting, we push away stuff, and we're not honest with ourselves. And then, you know how that is, that eventually that catches up with you, and either you have some sort of meltdown or some sort of chaos will always some,
always.
because eventually you're gonna hit something, or you're just BSing yourself, you're bulldozing those feelings and everything, and you're trying to make something, you're trying to put a, you know, was it a round peg in a square hole or whatever, and it's just like,
And a lot of times we have our friends to thank for that too, because we watch the story of their lives and we say, man, I hope Ray, like, you know, does this thing or spends some time doing this, you know. So and then oh, there goes Ray again. And he's like, my car broke down again. Why is it only my car on this planet that breaks down? Everyone else's car is fine, but my car. And you're like, this car will be breaking down again in 3 months. And but as a friend, you know, you don't jump in and give that unsolicited advice. You just support your friend, and you know, you hope that they find a way to get there and they see the patterns that they're repeating. Because guess what? They're watching you do the same damn thing, folks. Don't think you're high and mighty and shit. Like Ray's looking at John, going, "Man, I really hope that John sees this." And you know what? Ray's probably even planted a few Jedi seeds and stuff, and been like watering it here and there, hoping it blooms in me. And I'm like, oh shit, you know what would be a good idea, Ray? And Ray's like, what would that be, John? The one that I brought up 8 months ago, you know. But no, not in that I told you so way, but in that very like understanding each other way, and you're getting something way as a friendship. Because if you think that like a friendship is just like, oh, it's always good and it's so easy, yeah, okay, I wouldn't disagree. That's what good friendships, you know,
mm-hmm.
can be. Like Ray and I's friendship, super easy.
Yeah.
I speak for myself. I mean, I'm sure I'm a handful.
Ah.
But what I'm saying is the next thing to consider is you can, like with a romantic relationship, you can build and expand on a friendship. You can ride that cruise, lazy river canal with a friend, and maybe that's all you need with that particular friend. But you can have some friends where you can really open things up and continue to share and continue to find new layers of connection and understanding in one another. And it's not just a trauma thing, it's a life deliciousness of life thing. Right?
Right. And I think that sometimes too, you have to remember that, people are multifaceted people. Sometimes with our friends, we only have a friend that we maybe know on one certain level, like, oh man, that one friend's really the cool dude to hang out with. He's that dude to go out a Friday night, man. If you want to have a good time, you hang out with that dude. But that dude has other sides to him too. You don't know. Maybe that dude has I don't know, a whole different side that you can connect with.
Yeah.
You get to know the other person on a deeper level or a different level, and
Yeah.
that friendship could be something completely different.
Yeah, I've seen that in some guys that are like really just like tough guys and like in that exterior, and they're very protected and very like, just physically present in there. And then like you think like they're one dimensional or whatever, but then
Mhm.
when they build a trust in you, or you guys find a mutual way to like loosen up the strands a little bit, however that may happen. Sometimes it comes through competition, sometimes it comes through just a mutual shared interest, whatever, saving a puppy from a river together, and then you're, having a bromance.
Right.
But I don't even know where I was headed. Got caught up in the
Well,
bromance.
I get that. I have experienced that myself. Like other people have experienced that with me.
What
Where
specifically?
I kind of came across as maybe one dimensional. I don't know, one dimensional. Well, sometimes I come across as very defensive towards people like I don't really know,
Right.
just because of my trauma and everything and what I've been through and stuff. And so it's like it's mostly at work where people would be like, and I start talking to somebody. Maybe I may work that person for like a year or so, and they never really got to know me. And then I start talking, and they're always like, "Wow, I always get that all the time. You're a lot different than I thought you were."
Right.
You're like, but in a good way. They always say that in a good way. Like they
Yeah.
always say, "Oh, you kind of like, I don't know. They think I'm like, I don't think I act like a tough guy at all, or they think I'm like acting like a tough or give off those vibes or something." But
Right.
when they get to know me, they're like, "Wow, you're a lot really different than." People
Yeah.
are usually surprised.
Yeah, and it's that thing that's where I lost my train of thought, was let's just call it the bodybuilder or whatever, the super athlete person, ripped
Mhm.
cross trainer person, yoga, whatever. Just and they walk around jacked, but really, when you talk to, I don't know, let's pick a random name, Carl. Like, hey, Carl, what are you doing tonight? Carl's done doing his sets or whatever, puts down the dumbbells, and he's like, "Oh, I want to check out this new poetry open mic that this coffee shop's having." And you're like, "What? Are you Carl? Where's Carl? What did you do with Carl?" Like, there's a real human in there. Like, yes, folks, we all, we have our protector parts. We have just allowing each other and trying our best. I say trying, it's not a Yoda word, but doing our best to not bring judgment to any table, can really bring some delightful surprises in this little trip called life, and
Yeah.
and help people lower their defenses a little, because really, like, it's not what we're taught. We're not taught to lower our defense. Like, John, what are you even talking about? Why would you lower your defense? You're gonna get knocked out. See, that's the way we walk around this planet. Like, we're gonna get knocked the fuck out. And until we can walk with our hands behind our backs and lean in with our heart, which also, if you think about it, when you do that, folks, you're naturally propelled forward. And what leans forward? Your ear. So you're listening with all of you, with your heart, with your mind, your body. And if we could walk through life like that, it'd be really fucking pleasant, man. Like, not like every day someone's gonna knock us the fuck out.
I just had an image of us doing a retreat and everyone's walking around like everyone's walking around.
Yes.
So we're gonna do a walking
Yes.
method. The whole time you gotta have your like
Fuck yes.
heart
Fuck
chakra
yes.
out.
Yes, folks, this is why we want to do retreats and stuff, because it'll be so casual but so profoundly delicious. Come on.
Come on.
Really looking forward to the silent one, because there's not much planning that needs to go into that.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Oh man. Hey, we've been doing this about 49 minutes.
Wow. All right.
That's good, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could wrap it up if you want, or
Yeah, let's slowly get to the place of that was a good reboot. How'd you feel?
yeah, I can't believe it's been even been that long. I felt like we've only been doing this for like 10 minutes.
Oh shit.
Maybe 15 minutes. I thought I was like, you would tell me like, yeah, like I was like, wow.
Yeah, and this is like our pre-show, folks. And it's like, and I feel we were definitely a little reserved and but respectful, and we want to maintain that. And yeah, I think that was my biggest concern, because I didn't want to um, make anyone feel uncomfortable or offend anyone, like, just because it's very personal stuff. And so I think we did a good job making that okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we always do, even when we do our regular play show. We don't. It's not like we're completely different people. And then we hit record, and we change.
Right, right. And
But
we
it's
just,
like just that more, I guess, more natural,
Yeah.
more transparent. I don't know.
we just negated, all we did today was negate the names and protect the innocent, right? Like, that's really all we did differently.
Just led with the heart.
Maybe sometimes I dance a little more in the pre-show. I don't know. I should have let that out a little bit. Like, sorry, folks. Here's one shimmy for you, some jazz hands, but it's like electrical. Unlimited power. So without any further ado, let's end on a Sith note. Why not? Right?
Why not?
me and my shadow again. Right here we go. But yeah, it's fun. I like the casual format of the song. I like yeah, it's good. So hey,
Easy breezy.
I'm John with a J.
I'm Phoenix Ray.
We'll see you next time for much of the same. Aloha.
All right.